can't bend. Y'all be playing it safe and I be going for the win. Remember back when they was doubting on the kid. Now they tuned in cause my game too legit.
Fantasy headlines. Nation. Headliner Nation. Fantasy headlines for the nation. I'm a headliner. I'm a headliner.
Yo. Analytics off the chain. All the channels not the same. Jake and Kyle, you know the name. Headliner Nation, we running the game. Y'all stuck on third down. Your content's plain Jane. Headliners on top now. We gonna move and change. Podcast off the rip. Draft guide, so legit. Fantasy world, our game tight. You know we about that chub life. Stuck in a rut and you need some motivation. Head to the channel for this Headliner Nation.
I'm a headliner.
Yo, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to a beautiful Monday morning. Hopefully everybody is doing well out there today. This is a new live show we are testing out, and I literally came up with the idea last night, maybe like 10 o'clock or something like that. It was a little bit later in the evening. So let me know in the comments when we get done. Let me know if this is something we want to continue to do. We're going to test this out. This video is not going to be super long. We're talking 30, 45 minutes. And really all this is going to be about is me taking some questions about what happened from week one. Me giving you maybe some important stats that we've seen. Some different things that happened from over the weekend that we really need to keep in mind as we head into next week. Kind of a recap of week one, and looking at kind of concerns that we had. Things of that nature. I'm not going to take Monday night start and sit questions. I'm not going to take waiver wire questions. Waiver wire video will come out after this, early afternoon. We're going to go through all of that. So, the first question that I saw coming up the most in the chat was about Christian Kirk. Patrick, you are 100% correct. Don't panic. I mean, we have this happens every year, and this is on track to be, I read yesterday, one of the lowest scoring week ones of all time. So of course it's going to affect our fantasy team. Let me see here real quick. There was something. So there was an issue with Christian Kirk. And we're gonna talk about that here real quick. As I was watching the game, first off, Calvin Ridley just looked fantastic. So let's talk Christian Kirk first. So, as I was watching the game, Calvin Ridley, first and foremost, I think just surprised the Indianapolis Colts. And they even made the adjustment in the second half to essentially completely shut down Calvin Ridley. His second half stats were not anywhere close to his first half stats. So I think, number one, first and foremost, they were just caught off guard. Calvin Ridley was open, and they were just going Calvin Ridley. In the second half, it completely changed. Zay Jones is the key factor here. Number one, I was anticipating a lot more 3 wide receiver sets with Jacksonville, but instead what they have done is week 1 they went more 2 wide receiver sets, and they used Evan Ingram more. Which kind of caught me off guard. I will admit right now, I don't want to panic because I want to see a trend. I don't want to see week 1 stats. I want to see a trend. I am worried about Christian Kirk after week 1. He only played 65.7% of the snaps, and he only played in 3 wide receiver sets. Zay Jones and Calvin Ridley stayed on the field for all 2 wide receiver sets. Calvin Ridley ran 97% of the routes. Zay Jones ran 94% of the routes. Evan Ingram ran 88% of the routes. Okay? I'm concerned about this, and it is not something that I had anticipated. Once again, though, I'm not going to panic on it with Christian Kirk. I'm not going to drop him. I'm not going to get rid of him. But it is concerning to see that the Jags have said, we value Evan Ingram and Zay Jones more than Christian Kirk, which is crazy given the season that he came off of. Hold on a second. Again, we're going to want to see a trend. We're going to want to see this happen for not just 2, but typically 3 to 4 weeks is what I say. Because the Jags might say, you know what? We need to switch some things around. Now, Zay Jones played very well. Probably more than likely next week, I'm going to say let's leave Christian Kirk on the bench. Potentially. We'll take a look at everything as it goes. But if Zay Jones is going to be the wide receiver 2 in 2 wide receiver sets, and they're going to leave Evan Ingram on the field more often than Christian Kirk, that's going to be bad news for Christian Kirk. I would say right now I'm probably wrong on Christian Kirk. If that trend continues, and that's very unfortunate because I didn't see this coming. The second question that I've gotten a lot of is Rhamondre Stevenson. Rhamondre Stevenson actually makes more sense to me than what Christian Kirk does, believe it or not. And I know a lot of you are going to be a lot of you are going to be very concerned because we were very high on Rhamondre Stevenson. Blake, the preseason, teams are doing different things. Guys aren't really playing. No, I don't. I'm not going to look at what they did in the preseason and look at what they did last year, because last year they left Christian Kirk on the field more often in 2 wide receiver sets. So no, I am not going to take an entire season worth of data and throw it out the window for 3 games that don't matter. So no. So let's jump back into let's see what we can do here. All right, I will say this too. I'm going to be super honest with everybody right now. If you're coming into the chat to just talk crap about us, I'm not even going to acknowledge it. This is the only time I'm going to acknowledge it. If you're going to talk crap or if you're going to be rude in the comments to myself or anybody else, you're just going to be hidden from the channel. That's it. We're not going to do it. Okay. That's all I'm saying. If you want to have a discussion, if you want to ask questions, if you want to be like, hey, Kyle, I disagree with that, and then tell me why, that's fine. I'm just going to say this isn't the time and place for it. Okay. And I don't even care. That's why I'm addressing it once and I'm done with it. I'm just letting everybody know that's what it is. If we want to have a friendly discussion, that's fine. But if you're going to come in and just try to rile everybody up and talk crap, then there's no time or space for it. So let's go ahead and get back to Rhamondre Stevenson. Number one, first and foremost, I think Rhamondre Stevenson was a lot sicker than what the Patriots let on, because he had like a stomach bug coming out of Friday. So there's a really good chance that he just didn't feel well and have his full energy at the beginning of that game. Also, there's a really good chance as well that, based on the way the score was and that the Eagles began it, that the Patriots said, hey, wait a second. The Patriots, we're down right now. There's no reason rushing Rhamondre Stevenson out here if he doesn't feel good. We'll just give Zeke more snaps this week. And then all of a sudden, the Patriots are back in it, and now Rhamondre Stevenson. Because if you watch the game and if you look at the snap count at the end of the game, when the game was close and it mattered more than it did in the first half, Rhamondre Stevenson was out there way more often than what Zeke was. Rhamondre Stevenson was even out there blocking, and Zeke was not, and Zeke is known for his blocking ability. So that's one thing where we have to take a look at it, and we have to say, game script at the very beginning of the game probably played a lot into how often Rhamondre Stevenson was on the field. And then when they came back, they said, oh boy, we got to keep Rhamondre out there because he's the guy. That means way more to me. The end of the game means way more to me than anything that Zeke did. Let me see one thing here real quick. Let me see if I can grab the snap count for Rhamondre Stevenson real fast. Okay, so this is from Jacob Gibbs from CBS Fantasy. Week 1 route involvement rate leaders at running back, okay? So this is the percentage of routes that were run by running backs. First and foremost, Travis Etienne, who we'll talk about in a second, ran 86% of the running back routes in week 1. James Conner was at 85. Christian McCaffrey and Bijan Robinson were at 82. Kyron Williams was at 74. Rhamondre Stevenson was at 60%. Zeke Elliott wasn't even on this list. So Rhamondre Stevenson, his involvement in the passing game was 100% there. Snap counts. Where'd the Patriots just go to? I just scrolled right past the Patriots. Snap counts. Rhamondre Stevenson ended up playing 72% of the snaps this past week. Zeke Elliott played 35%. Okay? Absolutely. Okay? Absolutely. Rhamondre's still the guy. And that's why, this is the point of this video on Monday morning. So once again, if you like this concept where we get together and we talk about this and I go over some of these important stats and I roll through some of these things with you guys, let me know down in the comments, because this is something that if you like it and you're getting value out of it, then I will continue to do it. Okay. Kyle, help me pivot after J.K. Dobbins. We'll talk about that in the waiver wire video. But quite honestly, I feel absolutely terrible for J.K. Dobbins. Absolutely terrible. He is definitely a guy that has tons of NFL potential, but unfortunately, we are going to see a huge issue with these injuries just derailing his career. I mean, he's definitely done in Baltimore, and with the way running backs are signed in free agency, his career could be potentially done at this point, and that's a travesty because he had a lot of potential. DJ Moore. So let me touch on DJ Moore real quick. With DJ Moore, number one, he was shadowed by Jair Alexander, who is one of the best cornerbacks in all of football, and is an absolute just Jair Alexander is what he is. So I'm not super surprised that DJ Moore had a lower performance. In fact, at one point in time, I had even mentioned to somebody, hey, just be careful with his potential upside this week, just because Alexander is going to be hands all over that guy. Taylor is sending us some question. We're trying to revamp the start and sit videos just a little not revamp. We're trying to fix them just a little bit this week because we had a lot of people last week who, and honestly, and I'll be honest, we didn't even think about this. They said, "Hey, we're colorblind. We can't tell the difference in the colors." And I was like, I didn't even think of that. So to our colorblind friends out there, I greatly apologize that we didn't take that into consideration when we made changes to our start and sit videos. But because we do this all for the community, we all sat down and we said, what can we do to fix it? So Taylor is going through and revamping all of the graphics this morning to help with that. So it gives you a little bit better of an idea of what we're talking about in case you can't tell by the colors itself. So what was I on? Oh, DJ Moore. Okay, DJ Moore. So Jair Alexander, number one, just all over the guy. Okay, that is definitely an issue. Honestly, it would limit the amount of targets he potentially gets coming his way. I'm not going to overreact to that because they're still going to find ways to get DJ Moore involved. And maybe the upside isn't as good as we thought. Who knows? Maybe the Packers defense is better than we thought it was going to be. I mean, I don't want to overreact. Justin Fields didn't play a whole lot in the preseason, shaking off some of that rust. We'll see how they come out in the next couple of weeks. DJ Moore, for me right now, even if Justin Fields doesn't end up being anything that we thought he was going to be, he's still better than some of the quarterbacks that DJ Moore has put up 1,000-yard seasons with. So I'm not willing to bail on it just yet. The Cincinnati Bengals it was all rust. I think we can all agree that that's not something to expect moving forward. So I am not worried about the Bengals. If your question right now is Bengals, I have zero worry about those guys. They're going to be just fine. If you remember correctly, the Bengals started off 0-2 last year. So, Joseph, we already covered Christian Kirk. I talked about him for a few minutes. Ben becoming a member for the 12th month. Woo! I've been here a year, celebrating 1-year anniversary. Great offseason, but so happy to be back. Had 4 zeros, but overall, great to be back, baby. Concerns with Higgins at all? No, because Higgins still saw 7 targets. Let me check his routes here real quick. He saw 7 targets. He just didn't get any of them. I'll tell you this. I would be more concerned about Drake London than I would be T. Higgins. Again. Okay. So I'm actually watching a video right now on Twitter. Respect Ray. I don't know who that is, but they posted it. It's showing all of T. Higgins' targets. Only one of the targets was truly catchable. Everything else was outside his catch radius. So am I worried about T. Higgins? No, I'm not. It was a rain game. Again, Joe Burrow injured his calf, wasn't practicing even at all up until the last couple of weeks, let alone playing in games. Bengals are going to be fine. T. Higgins is going to be fine. Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, they're all going to be fine. Do not worry about that. Warhorse, Michael Pittman, he did exactly what I thought he was going to do. We've told everybody all offseason, Michael Pittman could end up being like the number one guy for Anthony Richardson. And we saw it this past week. Is he going to have every week like that? Absolutely not. He showed a lot of ceiling this week. But the targets he gets should put him with a decent floor. He is a guy that I've said all along, you could draft him as your wide receiver 3 or 4, and he could be your wide receiver 2 by the end of the season. Dameon Pierce, I'm not overreacting. That game got out of hand quick for Houston. They seemed to be in it kind of at the beginning, and then all of a sudden it was like, it just felt like the offense kind of disappeared on them a little bit. They couldn't really kind of get their feet planted again. It kind of just felt all over the place. Should we be worried about tight ends? I mean, the tight ends will always be bad. Daniel, do I think Hunter Henry will keep doing good? If anybody bought the draft guide, who is my number one sleeper candidate in the draft guide at the tight end position? In my rankings videos that I did, who was the one tight end that I had inside the top 12 that nobody else did? It was Hunter Henry. Listen, your boy is not the tight end whisperer for a reason, okay? Come on. It was Hunter Henry. Cue Ball becoming a member for the 20th month. How do we feel about the Steelers defense going forward? I'm chalking it up as they played the 49ers, but just wanted a second opinion if I missed anything. Glad to be here as a member for almost 2 years. Completely worth it. Cue Ball, appreciate you. I'm not panicking on the Steelers. The 49ers are just freaking legit. I'm not panicking on the Steelers. I'm not. Defensive-wise, they just got to tighten some things up, to be honest. That's it. They just got to tighten some things up, to be honest. Bijan, the 50-50 Bijan, Tyler Allgeier split. I really don't know I don't really know what to tell people about that, because we said it all off season long. If the Atlanta Falcons had not drafted Bijan Robinson, Tyler Allgeier would have been a top 12 running back for me preseason. He showed it on tape. He showed it with the stats. The dynamic running back rating, which those of you that buy the draft guide know exactly what that is, that showed gigantic breakout potential. Tyler Allgeier was not going anywhere. Is Bijan Robinson going to be more involved on the ground going forward? I believe so. Is Tyler Allgeier going anywhere? Absolutely not. They ran the ball 53% of the time this past week. Over half their plays are going to be run plays. There is a legit chance that Bijan Robinson and Tyler Allgeier could both see 15-plus carries a game. And Tyler Allgeier is so good breaking tackles and making people miss, and at the goal line, he could be an RB2 to Bijan every single week and be fantasy worthy. So for those of you that are asking about Tyler Allgeier, we told everybody all offseason long, Allgeier was not going anywhere. We told you all to draft him. We told you to make sure if you owned Bijan that you cuffed him with Tyler Allgeier, that he was one of the running back handcuffs that you absolutely had to have. Yes, he could absolutely be a guy that you start every single week. They're going to run the football more than any other team in the NFL. We got 1,400 people in here on a Monday freaking morning. Are you kidding me? That's awesome. But we only have 200 likes. Can we hit that like button? If you enjoy this video and this is something that you want me to do on Monday mornings going forward, I got to see like 900 to 1,000 likes right now. Come on, let's go, people. I'm not worried about the Chiefs offense. I'm worried about Kadarius Toney. If you own him, I don't know if I want to drop him right now. If you do, I wouldn't argue it. Sky Moore, though, I think has a better chance of bouncing back than what Kadarius Toney does. But if Patrick Mahomes loses faith in you, you don't want to be there. And Kadarius Toney he's going to have to bounce back. Another thing that I want to address real quick, Travis Etienne and Tank Bigsby. I'm going to be honest with you all. The Tank Bigsby truthers are freaking delusional. The Tank Bigsby truthers on Twitter are either straight lying about what happened yesterday, or they are purposely misguiding you to make themselves look better. I honestly, for as long as I have been in this industry, I have not seen as many people lie as I did yesterday about Tank Bigsby. And like I said, it's either purposely lying or purposely misguiding you to make them look better. It was crazy. Tank Bigsby didn't do anything yesterday except score a touchdown. And the hole that he had to run through was 8 miles wide. If he didn't score there, he should have been cut immediately. Tank Bigsby is going to be a good player. Tank Bigsby is not taking over for Travis Etienne. I have tried to tell you guys that all offseason long. And the Tank Bigsby truthers on Twitter yesterday drove me nuts. Late in the game, or maybe it wasn't that late in the game, second half, whatever. So, yeah. So that's part of the issue. Number one, he got a target yesterday. It went right through his hands and turned into an interception. Literally. Right through his hands, hit his hands, went to the defender behind him, interception. Then later in the game, Trevor Lawrence went to throw the football got knocked out. The play was not blown dead. The whistle was never blown. The ball bounced right to Tank Bigsby. He picked it up and then stood there with it, and the Colts just knocked it out of his hand and returned it for a touchdown. I teach my kids, the kids that I coach in football, to play until the whistle blows. Tank Bigsby, a grown adult who was just drafted, stood there and stared at everybody. Listen. That was awful. Those were 2 bad plays there. Now, the play that everybody is talking about, how Tank Bigsby gained 4 yards. His longest carry was 4 yards yesterday. He averaged 1.9 yards per carry. Okay? His longest carry of 4 yards wasn't even because of him. Go look up the video. You'll find it. Where Tank Bigsby carried the pile and didn't go down. That's not what happened. That play, he got hit behind the line of scrimmage. After he got hit behind the line of scrimmage, his offensive lineman grabbed him, pulled him over the line of scrimmage, and then when the rest of his offensive linemen saw what happened, they got behind him and started pushing him. It was Bigsby and 4 offensive linemen pushing against 2 defenders. Of course he's not going down. Of course he's not going down. Crazy, man. I was fired up yesterday about the Tank Bigsby stuff because of the line like that. Okay, people are going to be wrong in this industry. I am wrong. I literally just admitted about 15 minutes ago, there is a chance I'm wrong about Christian Kirk already. And I'm willing to accept that in week 1. I'm not going to get everything right. But I'm not going to sit here and feed you a bunch of BS to make you believe I was right about something if the information in front of me clearly doesn't show it. And yesterday, the people pushing Tank Bigsby on people, on you guys out there that are trying to play fantasy football to potentially win money or have fun or whatever it may be, where people are lying to you on purpose to make themselves look better. And that is what got me riled up, because I hate that. I hate that for you guys. For all of you out there that play, I hate that when people do that. Stop lying. If you're wrong, you're wrong. Admit it. Don't lie, though. Jason, Zay Jones is not a better wide receiver than Christian Kirk, but he got a better opportunity yesterday. Man, Tank was not great. Tank was not great. There was nothing that Tank did yesterday that was great. Nothing at all. Okay, thoughts on the DeAndre Swift situation in the backfield. Some of that is going to be talked about in the waiver wire video today, so I'm not going to divulge too much of that because y'all got to go watch that. I'm a little bit shocked about DeAndre Swift. When I saw Rashad Penny was a healthy scratch, I was like, oh boy, look at here. We're going to have a 50-50 backfield with Kenneth Gainwell and DeAndre Swift. Now, I will say over the last few weeks, I've included Kenneth Gainwell, and I had Kenneth Gainwell in a couple of different videos talking about, hey, he's on the up and up. We probably want to own him. It definitely looks like he's over Rashad Penny and at least the number 2 back. He is the number 1 back right now. He's the number 1 back right now. Kenneth Gainwell's the guy to own. DeAndre Swift, don't drop him yet. We'll see if they get him more involved last week, but clearly it's not just Dan Campbell. Nico, you got a trade question? I'll answer a trade question. Tyler, I already discussed the Stevenson and Elliott split. So when this video wraps up, I'm only going to be live for maybe like 10 more minutes or so. When this video wraps up, if you go back through it, I'll discuss all of that. These videos, and once again, for everybody in here right now, thanks for being here. Hit the like button for me. This is something new that I'm going to start doing on Monday mornings if you appreciate it. So you got to let me know if you like these videos on Monday morning. These videos are not going to be start and sit questions. They're not going to be waiver wire questions. It's going to be me going through and discussing some things that happened from the weekend prior. Are they things that we need to worry about? Try to give you some more numbers to maybe help you verify something and whether or not it was right or wrong. You know, a lot of times people just look at the fantasy number at the end of the guy's name and they don't look at anything else, and they just divulge their information from that when there's so much more you need to take into account. And my job is to help you with some of those numbers. That's what these shows are going to be about. They're going to be like 30 to 45 minutes or so. So then you can go back and rewatch them a little bit later on. So I'm not going to go back and recover a bunch of stuff I've already done because I'm going to try and make these quick. So if you ask a question, I've already covered it. I'll let you know. And then you're going to have to just come back and find it a little bit later. But let me get back to this real quick. Nico does have a trade question. I want to see what it is. Stevenson and Higgins for Evans and Jacobs. Which side am I on? Rhamondre Stevenson and T. Higgins for Mike Evans and Josh Jacobs. To me personally right now, that's a pretty even trade. I would take Stevenson. I would take Jacobs and Stevenson really right next to each other. I had Jacobs just a little bit higher. Higgins and Evans, I'm not really still worried about Higgins, but it was good to see Evans do what he did yesterday. That's kind of just a what do you prefer type of trade. Which guys do you like more? Honestly, it's very even across the board for me. Ryan, appreciate you. Jacob, welcome to Hole and Chubb. Thanks for joining the exclusive Headliner Nation. Jamal Williams just had a very poor performance yesterday, but it is something that we're going to monitor for sure. I mentioned it a little bit ago already with Drake London. I am a little concerned with Drake London because they run the football so much. I don't know if he's going to get the type of targets that we need. Listen, Puka might not keep it up, but he's definitely a guy that he'll be in the waiver wire video for sure. That wasn't just all about the defense they played. Joey, appreciate you. Okay, so yeah, let's talk about Elijah Mitchell real quick. Do I want to drop him? As a Christian McCaffrey owner, no, because if there's an injury, I want to make sure I have the Christian McCaffrey backup because Elijah Mitchell's pretty darn good. But even in the blowout yesterday, Elijah Mitchell didn't get touches. That is the biggest concern for me. Now, maybe it was, hey, it's a blowout. There's really no need to put Elijah Mitchell out there as the RB2. Let's give touches to someone else. But Elijah Mitchell is not going to have standalone value, it looks like. So when you take a look at like Tyler Allgeier is the RB2 to Bijan Robinson, like Elijah Mitchell is the RB2 to Christian McCaffrey. Tyler Allgeier, though, is being utilized consistently where Elijah Mitchell is not. It's almost like Elijah Mitchell's coming in to spell Christian McCaffrey, but he's not getting a ton of touches because the hope is to keep him healthy if something happens to Christian McCaffrey. Where Tyler Allgeier is in a split timeshare and has fantasy value. Allgeier does look like it. Yep, and I already covered Allgeier in this video, so when the video posts, you can go back and check it out. Lamar Jackson, I did touch on him real quick. I'm not concerned about it. Again, some of this quarterback rust just comes in week one. It just happens. Teams do not take the preseason as serious as they once did. Sometimes because guys play so few snaps in the preseason, it takes 2 or 3 weeks for them to get going. Last season, I mean, do you want here? Let me read something to you. Let me read something to you here real quick. This will be an interesting one for you guys. Let's go to fantasy leaders. Let's go to 2022. Let's go to I'm going to just sort by week 1. So we know last season, let's talk about quarterbacks. So last season, it was Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Joe Burrow, Geno Smith, Justin Fields, Kirk Cousins, Trevor Lawrence, Daniel Jones, Jared Goff, Justin Herbert, and Tom Brady. Those were the top 12 quarterbacks. Last week in week 1, the top 12 quarterbacks were Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Carson Wentz, Jalen Hurts, Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow, Jameis Winston, Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray, Marcus Mariota, Ryan Tannehill, and Kirk Cousins. Some familiar names in there, and some guys that didn't do diddly squat the rest of the season. What about running backs? Last season, the top 12 running backs overall were Austin Eckler, Christian McCaffrey, Josh Jacobs, Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb, Saquon Barkley, Tony Pollard, Jamal Williams, Aaron Jones, Dalvin Cook, Rhamondre Stevenson, and Joe Mixon. Let's take a look at the top 12 running backs after week 1 last year. Saquon Barkley, Jonathan Taylor, DeAndre Swift, Cordero Patterson, Kareem Hunt, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Dontrell Hilliard, James Robinson, Joe Mixon, A.J. Dillon, Miles Sanders, Antonio Gibson. Do you all get that point, or do you want me to do wide receivers as well? Do you want me to go through wide receivers too? For those of you asking about Jahmyr Gibbs is going to get more touches. Do not worry about Jahmyr Gibbs. The Lions have said all along that was going to happen. They said all along it was going to happen, that they're going to work him up. He's going to get more touches. Trust me. Archangel becoming a member for the 24th month. Archangel, appreciate it. Should I drop Swift for Gus perhaps? That's a tough one for me. I'm leaning kind of towards yes. A little bit. Already talked about DJ Moore. You want me to do the wide receivers real quick too? Okay. Let's do the wide receivers real quick too. And then after this, I'll touch on Antonio Gibson, and then we'll probably head on out at that point. Last year, the top 12 wide receivers were Justin Jefferson, Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs, A.J. Brown, CeeDee Lamb, Jalen Waddle, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Amari Cooper, Devontae Smith, Christian Kirk, and Jamar Chase. After 1 week last season, the top wide receivers were Justin Jefferson, Cooper Kupp, Devontae Adams, Jamar Chase, Michael Pittman, Stephon Diggs, A.J. Brown, Michael Thomas, Devin Duvernay, chosen Robbie Anderson, Jerry Jeudy, and Gabe Davis. Home! What's up, Holmes? Becoming a member for the 16th month. Calf cams. Not the time or place for a calf cam, but I appreciate you, Holmes. Thanks for being a supporter. I'll give you a OnlyFans calf cam later if you want it. Okay, real quick too. So I've covered several players already. Bijan Robinson and Tyler Allgeier. Who else did I talk about? Travis Etienne and Tank Bigsby. I talked about Christian Kirk. Drake London I touched base on. There's a couple of more as well. Antonio Gibson. Let me go and find you those numbers here real quick. Antonio Gibson. Let me find this for you here real fast. So this week, Antonio Gibson only had 11% of the running back carries, and he had less routes and less targets than Brian Robinson. Antonio Gibson was supposed to be the pass catching back, and that's one of the reasons why in my running back video last week, I was like, he's risky for me because I've got to see it before I believe it. And it didn't happen. He only played 37% of the snaps last week. 37%. That is not good for week 1, ladies and gentlemen. That is not good. And he fumbled. That's not good. Antonio Gibson. Brian Robinson is the guy that you need to own in that backfield for sure. For sure. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if I didn't answer your question during this 43 minutes that we've been here, I apologize. This was really for me just to point out some glaring statistics and things that happened from this past week that I wanted you all to know. Scott Daigle becoming a member for the 2nd month. Should I sell Pittman Jr. high? I can possibly get Najee and Kittle. Do I want to sell him high? No, but getting that in return if you're weak at those positions is not bad at all. I would be okay with that if you needed to. Ginger Snowman, welcome to Holden Chubb. Thanks for joining the exclusive Headliner Nation today. I think I missed another person becoming a member too. I apologize if I did. Jacob Valdez also becoming a member today. So once again, that's what these videos on Monday are going to be for. They're going to be for this kind of back and forth. I'll answer some questions. We'll talk about players that you specifically have concerns over. Hopefully you guys enjoy that format. Please hit that like button for me right now so I know whether or not you enjoy this type of video. After the video post, if you're watching this, please leave a comment as well and let me know if you want me to continue doing this. If you do, I will do it every Monday morning moving forward. If we don't think we find any value in it, then I won't do it. I'll just get started on my start and sit videos right away. The Q becoming a member for the 26th month. Happy Monday Nation. I don't like this pocket version of Lamar. God bless the Dallas D. Let's go Buffalo. I think they'll adjust a little bit for Lamar and get him comfortable again. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm out of here. Peace out. Stay safe. Stay healthy. I'll catch y'all on the next episode. Thanks for joining me on Monday morning. See y'all later.
On the line, you can't fold and you can't bend. Y'all be playing it safe and not